Hello everybody, this is Cedric May, and I'm going to do this tutorial for you on something that we haven't talked about yet, and that's linking individual static HTML pages together in order to make a full website. What we've been doing so far has been making individual pages, but now we need to make that next step, and that next step, of course, is to take two or more HTML pages and link them together so that you have a website. Now, the first thing that you need to know in order to do this is you need to put all of your files, all of the web pages, your HTML pages, any images, anything that's going into your website needs to be inside of the same working folder. And you can name this folder anything you want. But all of your files, and we're only working with 2 files so far, but all of your files need to be inside of your working folder. If you put them in different folders or have part of it on your desktop and another part inside of a folder, then your website just is not going to work. So you want to make sure that everything is inside of that working folder, and we'll talk about why that is. But for now, just make sure everything is inside your folder. Now let's go to your index page. Now I went ahead and made 2 pages ahead of time, and you'll see that they just look absolutely fantastic, and they're distinct from one another so we can see what we're doing a little bit easier. So we'll stick with our index page, and as you can see with this index page, we've put some styling inside of the head section of your page, and the style is essentially just the background color for this particular page, as well as the coloring for the text that's going to be inside your page. And then in the body section, you have your paragraphs and or a paragraph, and that paragraph is surrounded by a div that has a border around it. Now, one of the things that you'll notice here too is that there is some text below your paragraph that's inside the div, and that text is just go to page 2, which we're going to use as a link to go to the second page. But right now you'll notice that it's just text and it won't take you anywhere. Let's go to page 2. Here's page 2. Page 2 looks a lot like page 1, different colors, different text, but it has a back to home page text that we also want to turn into a link to take us back. So let's go back to your index. Your index page, on your index page, you want to turn this text, go to page 2, into a link. So let's do that by creating an anchor, turning that text into an anchor, as we've done in previous classes. So anchor, and I like to surround anything that's going to be an anchor or a hyperlink with both the opening and closing anchor tags. And inside of your opening anchor tag, type in href equals, and then inside of quotation marks, put in the name of the page that you're trying to link to. So href equals page2.html. Now notice that I have put the entire name of the document, page2.html, the entire name of the document inside of the href, inside of the quotations for your href. And you'll notice that once we started typing that this text turned blue and turned into a hyperlink. Let me go back and delete our anchor so you can see that actually happening as we go. So here you can see page 2, go to page 2, and then up here in the code I'm going to put my anchor. Notice as soon as I start typing that this is going to turn into an actual link. Now it's not a link yet, and it isn't a link until I actually tell the code where that link leads to, and that's page2.html. And again, you'll notice that I put the entire name of the file between the quotation marks. So we're going to save that, and so when I go down and click on that link, it takes me to page 2. So now we're at page 2. We know that our link for index.html will take us to page 2, but we have a problem. Now let's go over to the page 2 document. We've linked from index.html to page 2, but we have a problem. we don't have a way to get back to our home page. So what we need to do is we need to turn the text back to home page in our code into a hyperlink as well. So we're going to surround that text with opening and closing anchor tags, and then type in href, because this is the name of our the page we're linking to. Type in href equals, and inside the quotation marks, index.html. And again, the index.html is telling your anchor that this hyperlink is going to link back to this page. So index.html, save, and then when we go down here and click on back to home page, it'll take us back to our home page in our index file. Sorry, it'll take us back to our home page and index file. So you can go between page 2 and your home page now that you have the code set up. And when I go into my working folder, I can go into my working folder, and hold on while I set this up. We can go into my working folder. I can double click on my index and bring it up in the browser. Now we're looking at it in the browser. And when we click on the link, again, we know that the link works in the browser. What I was doing when I was doing my actual coding is I'm coding inside of a Code Runner text editor, and my Code Runner allows me to type my code and see what's happening as I type. It's a Mac application, so you can get that if you want to. You have to pay for it. I think it's about $9 at this point, but there's probably a Windows version that you can look for and find. But for right now, this is Code Runner, and Code Runner runs on Macs only so far. But more importantly, you can do all of this in any text editor that you want to. So for instance, I'm going to put this into Text Wrangler. Okay. I'm going to open up my code in Text Wrangler, and Text Wrangler, we can manipulate the text if we want to. I'll just delete some, save, and then we'll see that we can change things in any text editor, and we have our linked pages. Now, as I was saying, we can create any number of pages, and I'll do that right now. So I'll go ahead and create a page 3, and I'll go ahead and go back to my Code Runner and create a new tab, new HTML tag. We'll make this page 3. And let's see here, surround that with paragraph tags. We're not going to do anything particularly special there. We're just going to save it into my working folder. So make sure it's saving in my working folder as page 3. Again, you can name your pages anything that you want. Just make sure that you are consistent in your naming convention, and make sure there are no spaces between any of the words that might be in the name of your pages. Save it. Okay, so now we have page 3 in our HTML, and we want to in our working folder. And now what we want to do is we want to link our page 3 to our index. So let's say or let's go back to home page. And in order to do that, we need to create an anchor. So I'm going to create my opening and closing anchors. And then type in, remember that my index page, the title of my index page, of course, or my home page is index.html. So just type in href equals index.html. Save that. Okay, so when we double click on it, we'll see that, okay, here's page 3. Page 3 has a back to home page And there we go. We're back at our home page. Now, in a future lesson, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about making a menu that'll allow you to go back and forth between any of the pages that are in your website. But this ought to get you started with linking pages one to another, and you can experiment until we actually talk about this formally in class and in another tutorial. You can go ahead and experiment with creating links that allow you to move between pages and go from one page to another. Experiment with making a menu that does that. And that's it for now, and I will talk to you in class. Happy coding!